I told you yesterday about the stand of Cisco in today's market. Now, we were talking about two learning stages of Cisco. One, I told you at the associate level, which is CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate, which is meant for someone who wants to start the learning process in networking, who doesn't have any background of networking. But if someone has got, says, some form of knowledge about networking, some work experience, or might have done CCNA before, can start even with CCNP directly. So we were focusing on these two streams. Now let me tell you, how do we actually run our classroom scenario? If you are my student, if I am standing in front of you, how do I teach you? Now to tell you about that, the whole networking concept, I will focus on the curriculum first, the curriculum in networking first, and only I'm taking the brief curriculum here. I'm not going to the detail of the curriculum. So this consists of the curriculum mainly, either it is CCNA or it is CCNP, it mainly consists of these many topics. Let me start with the topics. Fundamentals is the topic that you will get only in CCNA. It will not be there in CCNP, which is at the higher stage. But you will get definitely switching, you will get routing, you will get security, you will get IP services, Wi-Fi network. These are the major topic, network automation. Now, see, here one question comes. Sir, you are telling that in CCNA we are going to learn routing. And again, you are telling that in CCNP we are going to learn routing. Then what is the difference between these two? Let me clear this point here. With a real-time example, you are doing BSc in physics, you are doing MSc in physics. The common factor in these two learning processes, the name, the subject, the topic name, physics. In BSc also they call physics, in MSc also they call it as physics. But the depth of learning in BSc is different, in MSc it is different. Definitely it goes deeper into the subject. Here also the same thing. You literally touch all the topics that are necessary to work as a professional in industry in both the curriculum. At the associate level in CCNA you touch all of them, even at CCNP level you touch all of them, but the depth of learning will be different. The A's of networking, B's of networking, C's of networking, you learn because these are mandatory. At the same time, you learn X of networking, Y's of networking, and Z's of networking. So literally from A to Z, all of them you learn, but for different curriculum, the depth of learning is different. CCNA has been placed at the bottom level of learning process, which takes you to a certain stage of learning. Whereas when you start learning with CCNP, it takes you more deeper into the subject. The difference, as I told you, the entry level to industry, as well the responsibility that may be actually coming to you as a professional. As a CCNA, probably you will be handling lesser responsibilities, but whereas if you are CCNP, you will be handling more responsible tasks. You will be directly handling a project. I'll tell you about the project today, because I told you, I promised you yesterday that in the classroom I will bring the project scenario. I'll tell you about that. But as of now I'm picking up one of the topic from the curriculum to tell you about. Randomly I'm picking up this topic to tell you about how do we go with the training and learning process. Let me start that. Let me start with a scenario. Our topic is what? Security. We know security is kind of protection, or it's a kind of barrier that you put for the data flow through the networking. Let me take a scenario here, a very simple scenario where there is a system which I am calling as sender system. I am trying to teach you as if, just imagine, I am trying to teach you what do we mean by security in network security. I am trying to tell you, this is just an example. I am not teaching you security, I am giving you the flavor, how do we actually train and how do we learn as a student. I have another system which we call as which I am calling as a receiver, meaning is what? Data is now being sent from here to here, and they are both connected to each other. That's what is the scenario. Now the data is here. This data is supposed to come and enter to this system. I am trying to tell you what is the significance of security. As of now, nothing is there. There is no barrier in between. Data is coolly passing through the network and it is entering to the receiver. No security has been imposed. No barrier has been imposed till now. But a time has come when you are working as a network engineer and especially the security specialist. It has been told, it has been informed to you that the data transmission between these two systems are to be blocked. Then immediately the point that comes to your mind is, I now have to take help of network security. I have to implement network security somewhere or the other. I have to implement network security. Just try to see how that concept goes to your mind. This is a kind of story that you are looking at. Now the data that is here in the sender will be sent to this receiver, but I have put some security in between. Where do I put? And that network security, to put the network security, I need a platform called as firewall. And this is what you are going to learn. We all know the term, the meaning, the term has come to our mind, that firewall here, there and all, everywhere we heard about this term. But what exactly is it? See, I got a assignment here from my manager that telling that from this sender to this receiver, block the access, block the data. So the immediate name that entered to my mind is, I will put a firewall in between. We are going to learn about it. I am just telling you the concept. Okay, I am going to put a firewall in between. What is that firewall? We'll see. We'll learn about it. We'll talk about it. We'll do practicals on it. But now I have a special platform where I can put that security. Because that security needs a platform to be implemented. Just like when you have a bank, when you're working in a bank as a bank manager, when you appoint a security person, you need to tell him that sit here, this is your place. Similarly, here also you define a place and you put the firewall there and you implement the security. Tell the firewall what to do. What to do? Data from here, which is going to this, is to be blocked. Tell him, tell the firewall. I'm trying to tell you the concept. How do you learn the concept in theory? And how do you tell the firewall? In the bank it is a person, you just tell, he can understand. But here how do you tell? You get something called as console. We'll learn about it, we'll talk about it all the way through our networking session. We will talk about this console. This is a screen, as you can see. It's actually the screen of your laptop or your desktop. From where you work. When you are learning, you work from here. When you are working, you work from here. Doesn't matter how far you go in networking. Yesterday I have given you some example. People working with ACI, people working with APKM, people working with DNA, people working with AP configuration. They all work from this screen, because this console screen allows you to tell something to the device. We are going to learn them practically, but as of now, using this screen, I have told the firewall to do so. This is what one of the scenario I'm just trying to tell you as an example. Let me go for one more example. I have a network which is bigger than the previous. This sender and receiver in the previous case were connected directly to each other. I am taking the scenario of an campus, an industry, where the same sender and the same receiver are not directly connected. Instead, they are connected to a big form of network which consists of so many network components, maybe routers, maybe switches, maybe gateways, maybe IPS, maybe IDS, maybe firewalls, so many devices. So this is what is the situation. The sender and the receiver are not directly connected in this scenario. Just imagine, in the previous case, that was the scenario, directly connected. Here, it is like this, they are separated. So we are going to learn this design. It's a part of our study. We have to learn it. Now, in this case, your manager has told you that block the data that is coming from this sender to this receiver. There may be thousands of these receivers in this network. I am showing just 2 of them. Now data has this path to go and reach the receiver. As your manager said, put the firewall or block the data. He will not say, even take the name of the firewall, he will say or she will say that block the data coming from that sender to this receiver. Now as a network engineer, what you will do? Again the same thing will come to mind. I need to put a firewall. You know the concept of a firewall, you know configuration of a firewall, you know how to tell the firewall that you do this work, you do that work, but one of the major important concept related with firewall is its location. Where do you keep it? Just like I have given you the example of a bank, where you said the security person, you sit here in the front gate and you observe the person who are coming from outside and entering the bank. Observe them, check them and allow them. Instead, if you say go and sit on the terrace and give him all the instruction, those who are coming to the bank, check them, he will not be able to do because he is sitting in terrace, because his location is not proper. Instructions are proper. He can execute the instruction properly because he is intelligent, but his location is not proper. And who did the mistake? You did the mistake because you have told him to sit in the terrace. Now you look for a location where he can effectively execute the instruction. Here also the same thing. Now you look for a place where you can place the firewall which will block the data coming from here to here. But there are some calculations that we do. There are some methodologies before we implement something to the network, and you know it and you have found that I cannot put any firewall into this path. There are certain restrictions. There are certain constraints because of which I cannot put the firewall into this path. But you are a network engineer. You are an engineer. And engineers are those who brings the innovations generated in the mind into reality. That's what is engineer. So when you find that there is no way I can place a firewall here, you will look for a different path. The data is coming here, but it cannot pass, there is no firewall there, coolly it is passing through this and it is being received by the receiver. Now you use your engineering mind. Okay, if I cannot put the firewall here, let me put the firewall somewhere else. Let me find out a new path, because it's an industry format of network. Maybe hundreds of paths are there coming from this sender to this receiver. There are different paths there. Let me select one more path and put my barrier into that path. That's what you have done. But see the situation. If still it will not work because the data still is taking that path to reach the destination. So what you have to do here is you have to allow the data, or you have to tell your network. First of all, you have to tell the firewall that you block the data, and then you have to tell that this data now should take this path. So when the data is taking this path now, the firewall will block the data. So that is how. Now it is not just that you are looking at where to put the firewall, you have calculated the path, where to put the firewall. At the same time, you are also making a diversion of traffic. Initially it was going this way, now you are making it flow this way so that it gets the firewall on the way. And you have told the firewall that block this data. The firewall is blocking the data. It is not allowing the data to pass through and go to the receiver. So this is what is one of the concept. So likewise, for every such concept that we are going to learn under our curriculum, we'll have a story behind. We'll create a story behind. Now if you try to remember the concept, just remember the story that I told you, and you will get all the concept. Okay, this is how it works. And it is applicable to any of those topics that I have listed there, and these are only major topics, few of them I have listed there. There are so many of them. For every such topic, we have to learn the story behind, the whole view of the whole scenario behind. We remember it, we can remember the whole concept. We remember the story, we remember the concept behind the story. Now that's not all, because it is a industry format of network wherein the story only will not work. It will allow you to remember the concept, it will allow you to take a decision as a network engineer. That's true. What to do, what not to do. But industry network needs implementation. They want the things to happen. So that is what is your practice. Practicals, hands-on. You have to do it. And how do you do it? Any idea that you bring to your network, any innovation that you bring to your network, when you try to implement in today's form of network, yesterday's session I told you, today's form of network, whenever we try to implement any such things, what we have is this screen. Every network component that you are using, there may be hundreds of routers, there may be thousands of switches, there may be hundreds of firewalls, IPS, IDS, gateways, so many components may be present in your campus format of network. For every one of them, each of them, you will be having one control screen. And where that control screen will be visible? In your laptop, not in the device. It will be there in your laptop or your desktop. It will be visible. And from there, you will do or you will implement all these concepts that you are learning. And that's what is the job of a network engineer today. As I told you yesterday, it is not taking the cable and connecting. That's not the job of a network engineer. That may be the job of a technician. But when you say engineer, engineer has to manage the network, design the network, manage the network, control the network, troubleshoot the network, expand the network, optimize the network, maintain the network. All these you do from this screen. Every such component that you are using in your network will have such kind of screen, which will be visible in your laptop. It will be made visible to your laptop when actually you are working. You will be sitting in your cabin and all these screens will be made visible to you. Maybe this infrastructure may be there in front of you, maybe there in the next building, maybe there in the next city, or maybe there in the cloud sometimes. You don't know, you've never seen it. But what will be made visible to you is the control screen. Remember, very important thing. And today's network engineer, they work with this. They do not work with cable. They do not even see the cable. But all the sophisticated level of work, whatever I told you yesterday, all the sophisticated level of work that they do in network, they do it from the screen. They need to be master with this. So that's how we learn the theoretical part of the learning process. But that's not all. We have to learn the practicals also. Because as I told you, this makes you ready to enter into certain job position. How do you make yourself as a job ready candidate? That's what let us learn about CCNA practical. But before I go to the CCNA practical, let me tell you about the scenario in which the network engineer works. Then I will show you the practical example. To tell you about so, I will take one diagram. See, this diagram I am taking here, actually it is for the people who actually learn CCNP, the next level, professional level of learning process, because I am showing you the global network here. Global network can be controlled or managed only by the professional level of engineers. And I am talking about the people who are actually looking for CCNP. See here, the situation scenario is like this. You have one head office in one corner of the world and a client site. Your company has a client which may be a banking sector, which may be a hospital, which may be a university or whatever. They are a client to you. Your head office is located in some place of the world and that is somewhere around in the world, and they both are connected. This connection between you and the client side will be maintained by someone called as ISP. As we all know about internet service provider, examples are BSNL, Reliance, Airtel and all these people. So they have their network all over, expanded all over the world. You just imagine you are now working in tune with their network. Their network is this, spread all over the world, and you are getting connected through their network to each other. Now I am giving you one example here. This example deals with how do you retain the connectivity between you and your client when there is a link failure. Let me tell you about here that you have got one network here in this head office and you have configured the network. I told you this screen is the one which will allow you to configure your network. You have configured your network, and this probably is the path that, as you can see here, which has been maintained throughout the ISP to reach the client site. So it is in tune with ISP. Part of the configuration you will be doing, part of the configuration ISP will be doing, but both of them should go together. Now this has been selected. Now this particular head office gets connected to this particular client site to this path, but what happens is at some moment, after some time, somewhere in the world, some country may come out with a situation like firewall concept. They brought something where they want to block the data coming from any external country going to any external country. They have put that block, but that doesn't mean that they are doing something there into their local territory. It does not mean that we should lose the connectivity between these two. So now what you have to do, this is the one which CC, NP, those who are going to learn will exactly work on. Now you will be again coming and doing something along with ISP to make the path going the other way, because that way is not now possible. So you will try and find out some other way by again doing the same control that as I told you. So what you will be doing is you will be doing a route change configuration. Now this time a new route has been selected. Now you start transferring data, but after some time again you will find that this route is busy. Again you do the same thing. Again you take control of the device of the network, and along with ISP people, what you do, you select a new path there, and this path will allow you again to reach the destination. But after some time that path broke down. There was a disconnectivity happening. Again you do the same thing. Again you select a new path, do a next configuration level and change the path, change the route. Data will now take a different route and reach the destination. This is a day-to-day work for a person who is working at the professional level, ensuring the connectivity to the client site. Not one of them, hundreds of such client sites. And how do they ensure? He or she will always take help of this console screen through which they will be doing the activity. Now let me take one more example where you and your client site has come to a conclusion that our data is very secure data. It should not pass through this kind of public network, so that it should pass, when it is passing through other networks, other countries' network, there is a possibility that data may get captured there. So what instead we will do, we will try and send the data securely between you and me. That conclusion you have taken, and along with the help of ISP people, what you will do now is you will go for a different kind of configuration which will allow you to create a path between you and the client or whoever it is. It's not an only client, maybe your business partner, maybe your branch office, or whoever to whom you want to get connected. Make a path which is very secured, which is not actually be visible to any of them in the world, whoever is sitting there with the ISP, and data will securely pass through this. We call it as virtual private network tunneling concept. So these are the concepts normally we learn when we learn the professional level of networking. What I mean to say is CCNP. And exactly you do this in practice and see the effect of this in practice. And that's what the new level of new guideline of this training CCNP actually teaches you. Let us take another in-house level of control or a management that we do as a network engineer in-house. Now it is only one office, maybe the head office, and it has got its own set up. The sales people, they sit in this floor, the admin people, they sit in this floor, and the engineering people, they sit in this floor, and you are ensuring the connectivity between them. Now what happens is, this is what is their sitting location. After some time, there is a reshuffling in terms of position, repositioning of the employees in your company. And what is that repositioning? It happens in this way. They're all being shuffled now. Now it has come to you because you are the network engineer. You have to ensure is these yellow should be in one LAN, this blue should be in one LAN, this green should be in one LAN, because they belong to the same department. Still they belong to the same department. Now what do you do here? They have changed their positions, no doubt. But you as a network engineer sitting in the control room, you are not doing anything except taking the control of that. Taking the control of the network, different network components, the screen of different network components you bring to your laptop or your desktop. And from there, you do that activity wherein it will ensure that the respective departments are into the same LAN, and still you have connectivity between the LANs there. So that's how today's network engineer, whenever they try to design, whenever they try to accommodate any changes there in the network, whenever they try to do any troubleshoot there in the network, whenever they try to do any maintenance part in the network, they don't go and reach the end device or end user. They do it sitting with the screen centrally. And the tools that they use to do all this have been drastically improved today, and that is what we are actually going to see. I'll take one more example here to tell you about what exactly a network engineer does in the corporate sector. I have a MSP here. MSP is in some location, whereas one client is there in some other location. MSP is a managed service provider. Client side is one who actually needs the network services there, these two are in two different locations of the world. Now, when this MSP, managed service provider, it may be Accenture, it may be IBM, any of those, they all are now termed as managed service providers. When they have a client abroad which are connected to each other, their engineers, which are looking after the network, deals with two things. Number one, the connectivity. Sitting here in Bannerghatta, Accenture, Bangalore, am I getting connected to that branch of to that client site in Uganda in Africa? Am I getting connected to that properly or not? That is the first concern for them. After they ensure that, next is manage. How do I manage that site, that network that is there in Uganda, Africa? How do I manage it from here? Because I am sitting here, Bangalore, Accenture I am sitting. How do I manage that site? This connectivity will be ensured by service providers. They have got network all over the world. They will ensure the connectivity, but they will not ensure the management. It is you who has to do the management. Take the connection and then go for the management. And how do you do the management? That is what is our prime concern. I will give you a scenario. I will take a scenario. I will tell you how do we manage their network. Now, I am going back to the same scenario where I have a component, a particular component that has been used by my client location there. Take it to be a router, take it to be a firewall, take it to be a switch or whatever. It's a Cisco product. It is being used by my client there. I am sitting here in Bangalore Accenture. How do I control it? It has already been installed there into their network, but how do I manage it? How do I control it? And that's why, let me tell you, you have got two ways of doing so. If you are there in Uganda in your client location, you can take a direct connection from your laptop or your desktop and you can control that. That screen that I told you of this device you can bring to your laptop and you can do that. But if you are sitting somewhere, at home you are sitting, you have the permission from working from home, work from home permission, then take a remote connection to that. It need not be wired all the time, it may be wireless also. But you are focused on that screen to manage that device. This screen is the one which is your ultimate tool to manage that device. As I told you yesterday, it is not the screw that you tight to fix the device, that they will do. As a Cisco network engineer, how do you control the device? How do you manage the device? How do you troubleshoot the device from this screen? This is what is the screen, the console screen of any Cisco device around the world. All Cisco engineers from morning till evening, they will glue to this screen to do all their activities from bottom line to the highest level of specialization. They all are glued to this screen. To take control of, as yesterday I told you, the devices are smart. To control these smart devices, we need to work smarter than the device, and this is the platform where you can show your smartness, so that you can control this device from this screen. And that is what is the working environment of a Cisco engineer. Let me list the task that a Cisco engineer performs. Designing the network. We'll learn about it. What is the design of a network? Configuration. Under configuration, all this configuration we do. Then you get network optimization, observation, expansion, troubleshooting, maintenance. All these things are the task for a network engineer to do. From morning till evening, he or she will be doing all these things looking at that screen. Again, I am taking the same scenario to tell you about practically how do we do it. This is the client location which has got a big network. This is my MSP where I am working. So client side has got a network. I have got a network of my own company. Both are connected to each other through ISP. This is the location where I am sitting, and client wants their data center to be managed. Where is that? It is in client location. Client wants their security configuration to be implemented. Where it is there in client location. Client wants that their collaboration networks are to be configured and maintained. Where is that? It is there in their client side. I am into that project. Sitting here in my HO MSP, I need to do all these configuration to my client side. How do I do? First of all, as I told you, we need to have a connection. I am showing you one of the component of the network. MSP side one components and client side one component, and these components are normally called as routers. They are there placed in their own locations and they are connected to each other. Now this is the screen of the router, this router, client router, through which this client router can be managed, and this is my router screen with which I can manage my router. These screens are visible to their respective laptops, but the situation is, this is my router in Bangalore, that is my client router in my client site. Now how do I get that screen? I cannot stretch my cable till that to get connected to that router. So when both of them get connected, I have already shown you through ISP network when they are connected, instead of when I try to take control of this device, when I try to manage this device or the whole of the network, it's not just one device. When I try to manage the whole of the network, I need not fly to my client side. Instead, I can bring the screen to me and I can do all this necessary control of that device from my screen. That is what I want to tell you in terms of practical. Like how easy it is now in this blended mode of training to understand the concept. You see all these stories, all these scenarios that I present in front of you, and lot more is to come. In tomorrow's session, I will show you even the project scenario, which is the ultimate working environment for a network engineer, for any engineer. The project scenario that I will bring to the classroom, but tomorrow's session. But as of now, we have understood how easy it becomes to understand a concept. You have seen data flow, you have seen some network design, you have seen some firewall. These are just an example. You have also seen the WAN connectivity, the ISP connectivity from head office to branch office. These are just the example. I am not teaching you here. When it comes to teaching, when it comes to training, we will pick up only one of them, just a small bit of it, and we will take our whole session in explaining that. It cannot be so generic, because CCNA is a very professional level of learning. Cisco's learning tracks are very professional level of learning, so every individual topic has to be touched. None of the learning stone can be untouched there. You have to touch everything. And that is why we will be taking every bit of it in detail. But my intention here is to tell you how easily I can explain the things to you, how easily you can understand the things and you can understand the concepts, and how easily you can remember the concept. And not only that, these things will be visible to you 24/7. So you can always look into it and try and get an idea about. And on top of that, I always insist, in fact, I always put the most privilege to this kind of session where I meet my student directly. Anyhow, this is time for us to learn about the practical things, like how actually I will recall the same scenario where there is a head office MSP, this is the router screen of that MSP, or let me take the other way, this is the client screen of the MSP and this is the router screen, this is the head office router. So I am calling it as router 1 and this is router 2. Router 2 belongs to branch office or the client side. Router 1 is the head office router. Remember, I am sitting with router 1. Now what I will do is I will take control of this screen, means my router. See here I am sitting with router number 1 and I am trying to get connected to my router here. It is asking me who you are. This router is putting one challenge to me, who you are. I need to know to type the password. So I have typed the password but it is not visible to us. So I have already taken the control of router 2. You see here I am with router 2. So when I type enable to try to go forward, it will again ask me password. So I have another password here. So I type the password. You can see now I am in full control of router number 2. Now how do I show you that I am full control of router? I am sitting here in head office. This router is in my client location. How am I in full control of that router? I will try to change the name of this router. As you can see here now it is router 2. I will try to change the name of this router to some other. So I am trying that thing with a command and I am naming the router as Cisco. Now what has happened is I have named it as Cisco, but still you can see that client router is still showing as router 2. So when I go to the client router and see, when they are there, when they see their screen, they will see that it has been Cisco. Now you see here the name has been changed. So it is just a small control that I am showing you. You are sitting here and you are sitting with your router, which is router number 1, and you are changing the configuration of that router. You are taking the control of that router, which is remote to you. This is how exactly the working environment goes for a Cisco network engineer. This kind of multiple screens will be made visible to your laptop or to your desktop, remember. Not just 1 or 2. Multiple of this kind of screen. You may be given a custody of 10 routers. All 10 screens will be made visible to you. And you will be given the instruction that for this router or for this switch or for this firewall or for this IPS you do this. For that you do that. These instructions will come to you as a day-to-day assignment as a Cisco engineer, and that's what I told you. We need to work smart here. Because if we don't know the configuration first of all, secondly, if we do some misconfiguration, the device will not listen to us, device will not work as per our instruction, device will not dance to our tune. If we want to take control of these, we need to work smarter than these devices. And how do we work smarter than those devices? The control. And how do we learn about the control? Learn all the concepts. Meaning is what? What are the commands that you can give to the router? Do like this, do like that, do like that, to the firewall, to the switch. How many commands you know? How many commands you know that you can give to the firewall or to the router? And how do you do that? If we know this, then we are in total control of these platforms. Doesn't matter wherever they are. They might be in front of us. As I said, they might be in the next building, they might be in the different city, or they might be in the cloud, doesn't matter. They might be in the client location, doesn't matter. We are in control of those devices. This is how we learn the practical. All of them, all the concept that we have learned in CCNA or CCNP, we will be implementing. So let me go ahead and tell you about one very important concept here. The learning and management system that we have adopted for this learning purpose. This is directly related to our job placement activity. Because LMS is the one which is going to record all our activity in terms of hours, minutes, even seconds. As I have given you one example, someone asked me, offline training, we do not have any evidence to tell our client side that this student or this set of students, they were under training for 2 months. There was no evidence except that normal, very small, normal signature, ordinary signature. Other than that, we don't have any evidence. But here, every activity that we do is getting recorded. When I put your name into the job portal, when you meet the client, you can see the client, client can see you. At that point of time, a client wants a referral point from our side. What can we say is, this particular candidate was under our training for 60 hours. We'll not say months. 60 hours, 23 minutes and 49 seconds, because LMS will count all your activities and all my activities. That will be projected to the client and they can understand the student or the candidate has completed these many hours, these many minutes and these many seconds of training. Training already has been verified by those people. That's the reason they are there in our portal. They know what is our training and that's the reason they are there. Now they want to verify whether the student is taking the training effectively or not, and that is where the LMS comes into picture. There is nothing, no documentary evidence that I need to provide to my client company to tell you how you are, what you are, where you stand. LMS itself will do it. With a click of a mouse, I can tell student number 1 has spent this many hours, this many minutes, this many seconds. Student number 2 has spent this many hours, this many minutes, this many seconds. That's what is advantage of LMS. And as I told you yesterday, when you log in, when you get registered, of course you will get registered to the LMS. You'll be guided how to get registered to the LMS. You'll be getting your credentials. When you log in, when you get your course, you get, these are the activities for you which will be actually counted by LMS. Day 1 activities, looking at the videos and going to notes and quiz and all this. These are the activities to be performed. Sit at home, do these activities again and again and again. More you do the activities, more the time will be counted by LMS and more you will be your weightage in terms of your effort towards the learning process. Because if you say that I have not used all these things because I have attended sir's class, Sir has explained me everything, but there is no evidence there. But if you say, I have gone through all the process of LMS and for this many hours I have gone through, and of course online session with sir I have spent this many hours, that also will be counted. So if that is the case, then you always will have the weightage, your name will be on the top of the list, will go more and more up the list all the time. So thereby this is what is, and I'll tell you how the structure goes. Say for our case yesterday was day 1. Let us consider to be yesterday's day as day 1 of our learning process. So if that is day 1, 25th of February, some videos, notes, quiz and discussions will be released in LMS. When you have the credentials, log into the LMS, go through the activities, and when you go through the activities, somewhere or the other, definitely, surely, without fail, you will be getting some doubt, isn't it? So when you get the doubt, come on the next day, that is 26th of February, come and meet me. On these topics, we will discuss. Try to clear up every doubt of yours. On the same day, that is day 2, again some more those activities will be released in LMS. Go through those activities. Obviously, you will get some doubts there. Again, come and meet me on day 3. I'll be live. Come and ask me, sir, what is this? A quiz that we have asked, I have not understood that quiz. Ask me, I'll tell you what is that. The notes that you have said this sentence in the notes, I have not understood. Ask me. The video you have said something there, I have not understood. Ask me. I'm there to tell you about. That's a live session for you. This is counted to be precise second by LMS. Even this is counted because this is the duration that will be counted as a live session that you have undergone. Already I told you about the Naukri for You, that Rooman portal where we will be enrolling your name, but not now, after 80% of the conclusion of the topics. We will be enrolling your name, you will be getting a login credentials, you can sign in and you can go to, you can see the companies that are actually suitable for your kind of background. It's only the suitable job positions will be disclosed to you in the portal. It is not that like commercial job portals like Monster and all where everything will be displayed. Not only the suitable job positions against your profile will be visible to you. Click on 1, not satisfied. Click on 2, not satisfied. Click on 10 of them. How many are visible? We already have spoken about the portal yesterday. Now, what Rooman is offering you, the training on different domain. CCNA, CCNPS. What the companies are offering you? Companies are offering you the job. And then what are you doing there? You are telling, yes, I got it. Right? So that is what was my meaning here today, to tell you about the whole scenario. How do we conduct the practical session? How do we conduct the theory session? And for practical, you will be giving the access to those screens. You will be giving access to those labs, wherein you can do the practical. You see the scenario, okay, this is how the routers are being connected, this is how the switches are being connected. Sir has already explained the scenario. Now let me work on this router, let me work with that router. He'll be given the access to that. We do have that provision. Every student will get that access. Now going forward, tomorrow's topic, which is purely based on your career building on Cisco networking. Job openings, job positioning, career building, and from my side I am including one very special point in the agenda tomorrow. That is what is the project scenario. How do I bring that project scenario to you, which is not a part of any of those curriculum you talk about, CCNA, CCNP, CCI, anything you talk about. None of those learning programs, global learning programs include project into their syllabus. I bring it to my classroom because these people who are learning it tomorrow are going to work on it. They should know the environment on which they are going to work, number 1. Number 2, they can project this into their profile when applying for a job, that while learning CCNA or CCNP, at CCNA level I have done this project, at CCNP level I have done this project, these are the classroom project I have done, and my role for the project was like this, as a designer, as an implementation, or a troubleshooter. You can write it in your profile, just like when as a BE candidate you write your profile, as an MTech candidate you write your profile, and there you mention your project, your role of the project, objective of the project. Similarly, you write resume, you build your profile with all these additional ornamental flavors into it. It will have that weightage into the market. Out of 100, your profile should come out first. That's what is my meaning. It has not been included in any of those training programs, but it is an additional element that I pick up always from my students. So how is that going to be? In tomorrow's session, I will explain it. So as of now, we are coming to the end of this session, but this is not the end. Thank you so much for being with me for all this long 1 hour. You are being with me, listening to me patiently and spending your time and showing your interest. Thank you so much for that.